What's up, folks? It's a weird word, folks. Folks. It's spelled folks, but I think it's pronounced folks, like F-O-K-E-S. Whatever. Welcome back to the Mental Toughness blog with Dorris. We're not here to talk about the pronunciation of the word folks. We're here today to talk about creating a specific state. You know, so many of these video blog posts are about, well, so much of mental toughness training is about manipulating your psychological state in order to increase or maximize the likelihood of having, being, or doing, or getting what you want, right? Increasing the likelihood of excellence. Well, so the state du jour is knowing. Synonymous with certainty or doubtlessness, the knowing state. And what's really interesting about the knowing state, well, there's a few things. One is that's actually an option for us, is to choose knowing, even though we live in an uncertain world, right? In a world that is absolutely characterized by uncertainty, but yet we still are capable of choosing knowing in the midst of that, which is totally amazing and cool and handy. And the other interesting fact about it is that when I'm in the knowing state, obviously there can be no entertaining of the possibility of failure, right? So I'm maximizing the likelihood of showing up in a way that maximizes the likelihood of it being badass. So, as in all states, as is the case with every single possible human psychological state that you could ever experience, every emotion, you have access to it right now, and that is always true in every moment of your life. You just need to think your way into it. That's how we create our states, with our thoughts. Every state you've ever experienced is the product of the way that you're thinking in that moment. That is always true. That cannot ever not be true. Right? And the beauty of that, of course, is that you control your thoughts. If you will exercise that ability, then you can become an emotional master, right? And we've done several blogs on emotional mastery and becoming thought warriors, but specifically with the state of knowing, right? Knowingness. And another interesting thing about it is that we're almost always in the knowing state. It's just we don't notice it because we're doing stuff that we don't really care about, like dialing a phone number, walking up a flight of stairs, or pulling a can of soup off the shelves at a store, brushing your teeth, buttoning your shirt. I mean, most of the stuff that we do throughout the day, we do it in a purely doubtless state, but we don't, it's not a big deal, the stuff that we're doing. We're shaving, right? Taking a razor blade to your jugular vein. We're eating with a fork and not stabbing your face. Driving a car, which is probably the most dangerous thing that we volunteer ourselves to engage in on like a daily basis. Yet most often we don't entertain the possibility of all the things that could go wrong. I had to do that. Going wrong, of course, as we know, is just an interpretation of a set of outcomes. It's just one way of viewing things. But you know what I mean. Like, whether if the car could break down, there could be an accident out there, you could get in an accident, and all these different things could happen that would prevent you from actually succeeding and getting to wherever you're going. But we don't entertain that. But when we're doing the stuff that matters most to us, we get goofy in our heads, right? We start to entertain the possibility of the possibility of failure, which is really stupid. So let's change that, right? By starting the practice of, before you do anything that matters to you, something about which the outcome is important to you, get your head right. And experiment with choosing the knowing state. There's lots of different states you could create. There's a million states you could create, but let's experiment with the knowing one because it's one of the most powerful ones. And it really does serve me and serves us when we're doing something that matters. Like, for example, athletes, or we'll say specifically golfers. I used to coach a ton of golfers. I used to only coach golfers. And we'd be out on a golf course and I would say, okay, so you've chosen the way you're going to play the shot and you've chosen your club. So now go ahead and know that it's going to go in from 160 yards here with your 7-iron. What? And they're looking at me like, huh? I'm like, go ahead, just decide that it's going in. Are you going for? It's a center pin. It's not a sucker pin or anything. You told me you're going right at the pin, right? So what's the best case scenario? It goes in, right? Okay, so go ahead and choose that. And like, what are you even saying to me? Like, and the confusion comes from the fact that we haven't been taught that that's even an available option to us. Like that's weird, because the probability of it occurring is so minimal that it's not possible for you to choose to know that it's going in anyway. Yeah, you can do that. You're allowed to do that, just like you do when you get in your car. There's a possibility of all kinds of things going wrong, but you entertain none of them, and that's powerful. And that actually decreases the likelihood of those things occurring, the things you don't want to occur, because you're in the knowing state, which means you're not entertaining. There's no, in your field of consciousness, there's nothing about disaster, right? So, like, if you want to experiment with that, think about when you're walking down. Don't do that. Don't. Never mind. Scratch. Delete. Think about if you're in sales, before you go into a sales call, get your head right. Talk to yourself in knowing language, right? Negotiations. Say you're having a dialogue with a loved one that's potentially conflictual, right? Get into the knowing state. Now, I'm not saying know that you're going to be right or knowing that you're going to win the argument. No, it's going to get your head into the knowing state that there is a win-win, that there is a solution to the conflict that serves both of you, and that you're both strong enough and capable enough to get to it, right? Go into your conversations with your loved ones with that state in mind, right? Relinquish the need to be right and know that there's a win-win. When I go into coaching sessions, I get my mind right in advance, and I speak to myself in knowing language by saying, I know that I am infinitely competent. I'm an expert at what I do, and I am therefore capable of serving the hell out of this person right now, right? And when I go to do my talks, right, keynotes and workshops, I absolutely spend time in advance, get my mind right. Part of it is telling myself that I'm an expert, knowing that I'm an expert. I'm a great speaker. I have fun with people when I speak. I bring unbelievable value, as a servant, and I know it's going to go great, and I know that in advance, right? And even before a video like this, honest to God, before I turned the camera on, I told myself, I know that I've got some content here that's fun and that's going to be useful, and I know I'm serving, right? And I know that I have fun with this. So I get my head right before this, even, because this matters to me. This is a big deal to me. This is me serving you. So to summarize, okay? Think about the times, the sets of circumstances in your life, right? The events where it would be really handy for you to take a minute to get yourself into the knowing state in advance, okay? And list them out, and then start practicing that. So then the second, of course, step is then before those events, talk to yourself, get your head right, talk to yourself in knowing language, right? So I guess the bottom line of this is really simple, which is even though you can't know, you can choose knowing, Create miracles.